Hello, everybody!
Hello!
How's it going?
Good!
It's another Power Trip Gaming Powercast!
Really, another episode of the Power Trip Gaming Powercast!
I couldn't tell.
Because now you're listening
With
power! Ooh, yeah!
It's like you guys rehearsed this or something.
Power, power, power!
Wow.
All right.
Are we an old talk show now?
Let's not get into that again.
Oh, God. Alright.
Alright, guys, how you guys doing?
Doing pretty good.
How's everybody looking?
My brain's killing me right now.
Your brain's killing you?
Yeah.
Headache, huh?
Tension headache back here.
Oh, gotcha. I've been having headaches like this entire week. It's just,
Yeah, me too. That's really weird.
Yeah, maybe it is like the outside temperature stuff.
Synchronizing our special times.
You
What is that
could
called?
be right.
Hey, they do say men do get periods.
Well,
Just not the Shark Week version of periods.
Okay.
We menstruate. I suppose that's really the term.
I understand
it is, I
that,
guess.
but where do you get headaches and menstruation? Like, I don't understand where the two meet.
What?
Paul.
Are you serious right now? Haven't you ever had a girlfriend that was on her period?
Yes, but
And they usually get a headache.
I've
of some sort.
never experienced one where when she was on her period, she also got headaches too.
It's mostly because he ran away and hid.
Ain't that the truth? Fucking hiding in the parent bunker.
No, I will say this though, is that I've known. Have you ever heard of cluster migraines?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And it usually tends to happen with like the shifting of the seasons, and so like pressures are different and stuff like that. That just looks like it's a terrible thing. Like
I get migraines every so often, not to the point that like the cluster headaches get or the cluster migraines.
Yeah.
The worst migraine I've ever had is the ones where you end up throwing up because you're so nauseous from the pain.
Oh,
and like
sure.
just being
Yeah.
in light is killer to you.
Yeah.
I've had those, but not. That's very, very, very rare.
Fortunately enough, I've never had a migraine.
Ugh, they're not pleasant.
I remember one time having like stomach pains, like while I was pooping. Where
And you pooped and it was over.
no, it's like, have you ever had a stomach pain where it's so sharp, it hurts so badly that you almost feel like you're gonna throw up?
You're talking to a guy who has colitis. Yeah, I know exactly what that's like.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, no, it's terrible. You don't know what to do. It's like, well, do I get off the toilet to throw up, or do I just grab a trash can and then it's coming out both ends? Like, I just don't know what to do.
Well, you go in the tub. You can throw up and shit at the same time in the tub.
Please tell me you've never done that before.
No, I've never done that, but I'm just saying that's a solution to your problem.
That is not a solution. That's
not a solution?
That is not a solution. No. No.
It's better than sticking your face into the toilet and puking or after you shit.
Yeah, right? Fucking getting a shit mustache.
Didn't splash back.
Obviously,
This is disgusting.
Obviously, why don't you flush the toilet before you frickin' puke?
It's you, Paul. You might not be able to make it.
Coming from a guy who took like 6 laxatives at once to try to take a shit.
I did. I called it a redneck colon cleanse.
You're an idiot.
I wanted to flush my system, and that was the best way to do it.
What an opening. But anyway, what's new with you guys? Anything fascinating? What you guys been up to?
Finishing out God Eater 3.
Hey, it's about time.
Yeah, I know. I got sidetracked by a lot of stuff.
This has to be the first time in history I've finished a game before you.
Yeah, especially that one, because I was so far ahead of you, and then I just kind of fell off it because I started playing, I think, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah, maybe.
And then Spider-Man before it.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Spooderman.
I did that.
Spider-Man, as he's called in Japan.
I grabbed Sniper Elite 4 for one of the free games this month.
Yeah, I saw that was free with PS Plus.
And I beat that already.
Of course.
But other than that, not too much. Saw Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
I don't even know what that is.
Do you remember the books?
No.
You don't.
It's almost like an R.L. Stein type, like
you don't
Goosebumps
like
type
those.
thing.
It was like the old black. It was.
Wait a minute. Is that the one? Okay, I remember very vividly a cover where it was like a guy, with a you could see like veins and nervous system, and he had a pipe.
Yeah.
Okay, I do remember.
Do you
that
remember?
book.
And then like, there's the story of like The guy who eats the soup that has the toe in it and the ghost comes after him. Yeah, it's based on the original books, and the movie was actually really good.
That sounds lame.
Nah, fuck you. I don't like you anymore.
I did notice it was weird because it's scary stories to tell in the dark, and then the rating it was like PG-13. So I'm like, that's
well, you gotta remember the books were written for kids.
Yeah, I know. And
even though when they were released, they did try to ban them in some places.
No, of course they did.
Because
Australia, probably.
No, actually, well, here in the U.S., go figure.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
it's
because
no different than a freaking old ghost story.
No, because if you actually, they're like R.L. Stine is one level of creepy, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, it wasn't that creepy.
People thought they stepped over the line between the artwork and the way the stories were because they were closer to the the original Grimm fairy tales.
Oh,
so people thought they were too much for little kids to handle.
It wasn't Are You Afraid of the Dark on Nickelodeon.
They're bringing that back.
No.
Oh my god.
They are
Why?
bringing it back.
Nickelodeon's making a new show based on that.
Ridiculous.
But
the Twilight Zone of horror for kids.
Oh, it was so stupid.
But with the movie, Guillermo del Toro did the creature designs.
Oh, did he really?
Okay.
So they're accurate to the book, the original illustrations and stuff. So they look fantastic on screen.
Cool.
He's done some incredible work as a monster designer.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Well, yeah, just Hellboy.
Not too long ago, I actually watched the movie finally for the first time because the movie came out in 2005 or 2004, but it's called Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh my!
I know. I've wanted to watch a movie for 10 or 12 years, and I finally went to a Half Price Books, and I remembered. I'm like, you know what? I want to watch Pan's Labyrinth, and I checked to see if they had it. Sure enough, they had it on DVD.
Such a great movie.
And the monster designs were just oh my
What's his
god!
name?
Yeah, I love the guy with the eyes in his hands. Where
He's like this flesh monster, and he's got this feast, and the girl comes in, and eventually
she's not supposed to eat anything.
Yeah.
As long as you don't eat anything from the table, you're fine. And she eats these humongous grapes.
Well, but see, yeah, I suppose the context makes sense because I don't think you've seen it.
I have not.
So
I've heard great things.
It takes place during World War II.
World War II.
So she's in Germany, and basically they're they're starving. Her mom is with some Nazi officer. She's pregnant.
Yeah.
But her mom's sick, so she goes through this portal to get something to help her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she sees this feast, and so she eats something. But the creature has no eyes, and he's sitting there. And eventually she takes something, and he picks up these eyes and puts them in his hands. And then he sits like this, and that's how
he holds his hands.
The design
up
is
in front,
so creepy looking.
It's really cool.
It was super creepy, but again, and I always feel like I go back to Silent Hills, but honestly, the creature designs that Guillermo del Toro was capable of, that he has done in his movies, I would have loved to have seen some Silent Hills.
Absolutely.
Or Silent Hill creatures that were designed by Guillermo del Toro. It would have been. And I'm not taking anything away from Masahiro Ito, because he was the creature designer for Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, I think. He may have even been on 4 as well.
Yeah, but when it comes to creature designs, I don't think anyone has quite the same imagination that
Guillermo just
has
an incredible imagination, and it's just, oh man.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's a shame. I feel like the world was deprived of Silent Hills and what it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real shame.
But I mean, silver linings though, we did get a Silent Hill pachinko machine. So that's
gonna cut you deep for years, man.
I mean, I feel like you get to be in Silent Hill while you're playing pachinko. It's amazing.
Yeah, but you gotta remember the same stuff happened with Castlevania.
Yeah, but
granted, I suppose Ego was at least able to do his own thing. So
yeah, that was a generation before then. Is Ego was or Iga was
I don't know what his actual name is.
Iga was kind of turned away from Konami because it got too big for Konami to deal with, and maybe he was a little bit of a I don't know, a prima donna too, where
I don't know,
bit of an egoist.
Egoist, but and then what is it? 10 years later, then same things happened to frickin' Hideo Kojima.
Oh, it's just one of those things where Konami as a company was basically well, these aren't as profitable as these are, so meh.
Yeah, so
Capcom did the same thing to Inafune. So, unfortunately. So
I mean, I get as a company needing profit. Like, I understand that. But there's a certain point where basically the company is stepping on the toes of, like, art and the forwarding of it. And it's just, you got to find, it's finding that fine line between the two where you can make, I mean, a great example is the Metal Gear series. There's some great artwork and some like concepts in there, but they don't make money. They are money pits.
Right.
So, I mean, that's good. I mean, the same thing, I guess, is happening currently now with Borderlands.
Yeah, Borderlands 3.
There. So,
this was the reason I wanted to do this podcast was so for anybody who doesn't know, obviously Borderlands 3 is on the horizon in just a month about. I'm pretty pumped up for it. Actually.
We will be opening the collector's edition on camera for you guys too, because I still have that ordered.
Oh yes, so, absolutely.
If it doesn't ship to New Jersey.
Yeah.
But lately I've been playing a lot of Borderlands 2, just for funsies because I've excuse me, holy crap. Whoa. I beat Bloodstained, so I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between games. So, you know what? I was in the mood for a shooter, so I plugged in Borderlands, and it's like, you know what? I'm kind of getting into this. So I think I pre-ordered Borderlands 3. I'm ready for it. So
which is weird because he doesn't like always pre-order.
No, not usually. It has to be a game that
it's usually a niche RPG that you pre-order. The ones that'll come in smaller quantities. You don't really pre-order AAA titles all that often.
No, I usually don't get upgraded versions unless it's a series I absolutely adore. Like Persona 5, I pre-ordered the collectors immediately because I love the Persona series. Super, super good. Zelda, obviously. You know, stuff like that I'll pre-order, but otherwise, I'll usually get it after the fact.
Well, honestly, AAA titles, it's not like you have to pre-order the regular game or even the collector's edition because obviously there's going to be millions of copies out there.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody who wants one is going to get one. You don't have to...
Collector's editions these days are sort of sliding back into actually being collector's editions.
You know what, though? That hurts nothing because at least...
I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm glad that they do that because I remember... and. Frickin' comic book industry used to do that too, where every time that there was a number one, they would say like collector's item.
That's
like
Superman.
Yeah, I know. And so it's like anything that you're advertising as a collector's item, or like in the fact of like the Halo 2. You remember the Steelbook version of Halo 2, where they're like the limited edition like Steelbook, which granted it was the first time a game was released in a Steelbook like case.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And what they did not say is that the limited edition means that it was limited to like once all of the sources of metal in the entire galaxy are gone, that's when the limit's out. So it's like
that's like any game that releases as a day one edition. I'm sorry, there's never a day two. No. I swear, like I bought you Trails of Cold Steel for the PS4 after I touted it for so long, and Paul and I got it for you. That's all you can order is day one edition, like the launch title. That's it. You get that, and it always comes with all this stuff.
There have been a couple of games that I've gotten where like the day one editions. I mean, great one was Prototype 2, I think. Originally, the day one edition came with a bunch of extra missions and I think an extra skin that weren't available for a couple of years afterwards.
Yeah.
They were only exclusive to that version until basically it was, okay, we've done making a profit on this, let's make profit here now.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, back to Borderlands because we kind of digressed the way we do.
So I ordered not the big one that you got, but I got the one underneath it.
The $90 one that comes with the season pass?
No. I got the... maybe. No, mine was, I think, 80. Something. I don't know, because it's originally 60. I got the next one up from that. Okay. It didn't come with...
Maybe it is 80. Okay, because I know some season pass ones are like 90, some are 80. It just depends on the companies.
Yeah. I don't think I got the season pass. I didn't get that one. I got the one...
So you might got like the deluxe edition?
What is it?
I think so.
What does it come with?
So the one that I have comes with like... different. It comes with like retro skins and different things you can change your character, outfits, heads,
DLC and stuff like that.
No DLC. That's the next one up. Is it comes with the 4 DLC mission pack.
Oh, I meant downloadable content as in like skins and stuff.
Yeah.
That you have to download in order to get. So,
right.
Okay.
These are the equivalent of Juggernaut.
Kind of,
but they'll actually be available later.
Cool.
So I
got Juggernaut on mine.
Good old Juggy Claws. So I got that edition. So of course I'm pumped up. You know, I'm still playing it right now, and so I'm scrolling through Facebook as I do every so often when I get bored, and I happen to see this thing about Gearbox and this hashtag that's been going around or something called hashtag boycott Borderlands 3. So I was like, I was curious, you know, I got curious about it, so I clicked on it or whatever, and it was this article about this huge hubbub about these people trying to boycott Borderlands 3. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why? So, like, the article, well, you can probably describe it better than I can about the hubbub with it.
Alright, so basically what happened is there have been leaks and other information been getting out. Well, a couple of people noticed that on one of the developer live streams that was done out to the public, there was, because they were showing off the new EchoCast Twitch interface so that fans can watch and kind of interact and get guns in the game while watching other people play. So they noticed there was one segment where Gearbox basically didn't hide the name of the Twitch channel. So some people went and they spotted it and they started following the channel.
Right.
Well, it was just a dev channel. It wasn't really meant to actually get out to the public. So there was been times, I guess, where devs have been using it to show parts of the game to other development teams, and people were getting images and just different stuff from this that wasn't meant to get out to the public.
So essentially stealing. Yeah,
I mean, for lack of other ways of putting it, yeah, it is technically a form of theft.
Yeah.
So this stuff was getting put out, and while it probably upset Gearbox, it wasn't Gearbox that did anything. The publisher, it's 2K?
2K, yep.
Okay.
2K Games.
2K Interactive. Basically, they sent these two private investigators to the one chant guys to investigate
his house,
to see what if they could ascertain where his leak was from, so that they could basically stem it. They could get rid of it.
Yeah, stop it from happening. Yeah.
So he was talked to, and he willingly talked to them, which he found after he talked to cops and lawyers that he probably shouldn't have talked to them because he didn't have to. Basically, all these other people started blowing it up, saying, well, Gearbox is sending guys out to bully this guy. Well, it wasn't Gearbox that did it. Gearbox had nothing to do with it.
Right.
So it basically went from this non-issue to people overreacting and blowing up, and now calling for people to boycott the game. The guy, I'm trying to think of what his name was,
Supmoto.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, YouTuber Supmoto, who creates a lot of Borderlands content. Make videos with those images.
Well, he's been playing the games for years, lots and lots. So, but he, in one of his videos after all this stuff happened, he admits that he probably shared too much and he probably should have known there was some line at some point. But in his YouTube channel got a bunch of strikes against it. All of them were dismissed but one. And then his Discord server, where he was sharing some of this stuff, where you actually have to, I think, pay to be part of his Discord server, got shut down because the publisher contacted Discord or something like that, and it basically had violated Discord's terms of service. So his Discord got shut down. So that kind of led to people being like, oh, he's getting bullied, and his channel's being shut down, and whatever. But it's at some point, he had to take responsibility, too, because he was sharing information that was not supposed to be publicly available.
Right, right.
So it's kind of a catch-22. And, I understand there is an entire industry of being first with information, especially when it comes to entertainment media, movies, pictures from sets get leaked all the time. So, yeah, there's an industry that thrives on, I'm first because you get the most views. So, therefore, you make more money. And I get that that's good for the industry up to a certain point, but there is at a certain time when you are crossing the line and you are sharing basically trade secrets, and that's a corporate espionage. It gets to some dicey territory.
Right, and that's kind of where how I felt about it.
Like, could they have done better not letting some of this information get out to the public? Probably. Like, whoever's on the development team that is allowing information to get out probably shouldn't have a job. They're a leak. They're not good for companies. But, like, fan bases at some point need to understand that companies, like, how to say this? It's good to have company and fan interaction, but there is a certain level at which you have to go, okay, we are the creator, you're the consumer, you don't necessarily know what's good. Mm-hmm. Kind of step back. You're crossing a threshold.
There needs to be a certain degree of respect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's what the culture we have nowadays, especially with the ability to spread information like fucking wildfire, is definitely not helping this environment.
Yeah.
You know, you have to... Jesus fucking Christ. I keep losing all of my trains of thought.
I was going to say, what is going on with you right now?
He doesn't have enough energy drink in him yet.
No, I'm like losing every thought I keep trying to put together.
I don't know. Paul, what's your take on... Because I know... your opinion probably goes back further because, like, back in more of where you focused on game, like NES and that era, all information came through, like, Nintendo Power or
Informer.
PGM, tips and tricks, stuff like that. So what's your opinion on this?
Well, no, it's because, I mean, back then, like, NES and SNES and all of those, even I would say like PlayStation 1, really, there wasn't really the internet. There wasn't these social media outlets where everything was being leaked or everybody could talk to each other from one side of the country to the other. So you were relying basically on video games or on video game magazines to release that information. And so I don't think that there was as strong a need to hide what you were doing, and there wasn't as strong of a desire for people to try to get all the information they could because they couldn't spread it anywhere. So basically, if you knew that something was coming out from a video game, you told your circle of friends, but it's not like you in Wisconsin were telling somebody in California, and then all of a sudden everything was just kind of...
Yeah,
it was spread out that way.
You're not sending out a tweet that all of a sudden is going to get 1 million retweets, which is,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly, and kind of changing the direction. I obviously I'm a big fan of Star Wars, and so the whole thing about the idea of leaks, and especially with social media and all this stuff, I remember. Ever since Star Wars Episode 1 was announced, and it especially got to fever levels with Episode 2 and Episode 3, where people were trying to find everything that they could, any kind of leaks, any kind of information. And I remember finding a document online. I wish to God I still had this document, but I think I threw it away years ago, but somebody had written out kind of like a synopsis, like from start to finish, of Star Wars Episode 2. And I read this thing months before the movie came out, and literally I would say that 65 to 70% of what was written in there was literally verbatim what ended up making into the video.
It was like an early draft of the script?
I don't know if it was an early script of the draft,
or someone read the script and then
somebody saw, maybe they saw what the finished product was at the time and said, okay, this is what's happening here, this is what's happening here.
Almost like a Cliff Notes version.
It was like a Cliff Notes version of the movie. Like, as you're watching it, they're like saying things. One of the things that was completely like off the rails of what Episode 2 ended up being was that there was supposed to be like how there was a Jedi Council, there was actually a Sith Council, and I'm like, that would have been really cool if that would have made it into the movie. But anyways, like 65% of this thing was like verbatim, like what ended up being in the movie, and so you didn't have people who were going after whoever this poster was that said like, well, you've leaked out almost all of our movie, because it didn't really take away anything from the movie. But nowadays, with how the social media is spreading and information is trying to be protected as much as it can, and yes, you're going to get leaks, and people run with those leaks, and I honestly, I read the information, the news about this whole leaked situation and what happened with this, the YouTuber and with 2K Games and Gearbox, and this is probably the first time that. So everybody is saying like, oh, this poor YouTuber, like he's just posting these videos and he's just doing this, and Gearbox is going after him, and 2K Games is just, they're bullying him, and they're jerks for this, so we should boycott Borderlands 3. I honestly almost feel like, okay, maybe their methods of going after him were not the best thing to do. But at the same time...
I mean, it's not like they sent a knee breaker after him.
That's true.
They sent 2 private investigators that just went and asked questions.
Yeah, that's true.
They weren't there literally physically... Well, from all accounts, they weren't there actually physically intimidating them. That was just the other people adding fuel to the fire.
Exactly. And I almost feel like, you know what? This YouTuber, he's in the wrong. Like, he's got like some kind of guy on the inside who is feeding him this information, where then he can post these videos, where then he's probably getting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views on these videos. So he's profiting off of this leaked information that should not be leaked out for public consumption. Yeah. He knows that it's wrong, and so when these 2 private investigators go to his house, and I love it that they're wearing suits. It's like, okay, maybe they just want to look nice, but apparently wearing a suit means that you're intimidating.
Well, some people dressing fancy is intimidating. So.
And and so this guy, he knows that he's in the wrong, so they're asking questions about who are you getting your sources from, like how are you getting this information, and he's readily giving them this information because he knows in the back of his mind, like, yep, it was only a matter of time before I was going to get caught, and now I've gotten caught, so I'm just going to come clean because I don't want to hide anything.
And one of the big things that makes me definitely go, aha, he knew he was in the wrong, is that once all of the strikes against his channel were dismissed but one of them, he could still make stuff on his channel.
Yeah.
He's choosing to step back and not make stuff.
It's because...
So he knows he was in the wrong.
Yeah. And without Borderlands, he's got no content whatsoever. So I mean,
and that's one of those things where, to me, it's a real fine line, because without the consumer, the developer has no job.
Right.
But then at the same time, without the developer, the consumer doesn't have his job either by using their stuff to make content.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
Without the consumer, you don't have the developer. Without the developer, you don't have the consumer.
Yeah.
So it's like it's such a strange relationship.
It is, but in that sense, you have to respect each other.
Exactly. And unfortunately, in this world we're in now, with this media sharing shit, it's so... fan base has gotten, to me, a bit too toxic for its own good.
Yeah.
And that goes even just beyond games.
You know, it's funny, because I actually, because of this day and age, I hate the word toxic. I do too. I loved it when it was just a move on Pokemon.
You son of a bitch. I
love it. I love it when it was just a symbiote.
Toxin. Yeah. But now everybody describes everything, like the landscape. Oh, it's so toxic.
If it's a negative environment, it's automatically toxic.
It's so toxic. It's like, stop it. Do you even know what that means? Like, stop it.
Yeah, pollutant.
Yeah, exactly.
Chernobyl was toxic to...
Yeah,
the bomb was toxic to Chernobyl.
But you're talking about toxic... Well, maybe I'm going too far, but it's like, at the same time, like... Then they start putting this spin on it where it's like... Borderlands and 2K Games and Gearbox, they're in the wrong. They're completely in the wrong. This is not how you treat your fan base. So, know what? We need to now do whatever we can in order to shut them down. And it's like, who wins in this situation? Nobody wins.
But see, that's what part of what really irritates me the most about it is, it's not people saying it's 2K at fault here. It's Gearbox.
Which they had nothing to do with.
They're the parent company.
Gearbox is just the developer. They're not the ones saying...
Oh, yeah, they're the developer.
They're not the ones saying, hey, you're not supposed to do this, but it's the publisher who's footing the bill saying, we're paying for this game, it's ours, you know... They're the ones, but they're not getting any of the ire that I've seen Gearbox get.
Yeah.
So it's when I don't understand that.
Well, but that's also too the misinformation and the sharing of information where people know only half the story, or they only understand a certain piece of it, but they're going to run with it because, hey, you know what? We got to boycott Borderlands 3. Well, who's behind Borderlands 3? It's 2K Games, because they're the face of Borderlands.
Gearbox is the face of it.
Gearbox. I thought you said Gearbox was the developer.
No, Gearbox is the developer. 2K is the publisher. Everyone's blaming Gearbox, though. Everyone's blaming the developer, not the publisher.
Right. But because maybe they think that it's like, well, who's behind Borderlands 3? It's Gearbox, because they're the ones that are making it.
Yeah.
And they're not even, like, that's all that's been associated with Borderlands 3. It hasn't been 2K. It's been Gearbox, and so people are running with this information, even though it's not the correct information.
Well, and that actually,
they're just going with it.
Your whole, what's the face of it does kind of bring up a good point, because, like, Randy Pitchford has a bad reputation.
Yes, he does.
That's actually a lot of what it is people chiming in with their own reasons, even beyond this, of why to boycott this game, and it's because of Pitchfork.
Well,
Pitchford. Why do you keep saying Pitchfork?
I don't know.
But see, like, with that, like, you're right. We only know half the story. For the people that have been fired from Gearbox over the years, we hear, it's a shitty environment to work in. It's this and it's that, and Pitchford's an asshole. He does this and that. But we're getting the view of someone who was just fired from a company. We're not getting the point of view of the CEO who's having to do his job, even if he doesn't like having to do it. Because he has a responsibility to not only Gearbox as a company, but to 2K as the publisher and any stockholders. He has an legal obligation to make money for them.
Yeah. A lot of this, or part of this article talks about, besides even just this Motto incident, is his... Supposedly he was accused of physically assaulting Claptrap's former voice actor. What the hell's his name?
Well, he was, I don't know, he was some financial guy from the company.
Yeah, and something to do with his attitude towards Troy Baker. But they say that was one of the other reasons they wanted to boycott it. But again, the guy who voiced Claptrap was kind of a dickhead.
Well, and we talked about that before. Yeah. Like, it was basically... in order to save money on the development of Borderlands 1 and 2, instead of going out and hiring voice actors, they first went, hey, anyone in the company want to do some voices? So one of the financial guys did the voice for Claptrap. Well, he got such an ego behind him that, I am Claptrap, you can't do it without me.
I made this series.
And he was no longer with the company, and he was like, oh yeah, I'll still voice Claptrap and stuff, but I want this rate for doing the voice acting. And Gearbox was like, no, we'll give you the standard voice rate that we give voice actors. The guy said, no, I am Claptrap, I am this game, go fuck yourself. And it's like, no, dude, you're not. You're as replaceable as everyone else in the process.
Yeah.
Heck, they would have saved money just by going out and getting a voice actor instead of
I guarantee you they could have went to YouTube and found someone who can emulate that style voice and been completely okay with it. But I mean, it's a robot. You can change its voice whenever you want.
Yeah, considering every Claptrap's different anyway. It's a Claptrap unit, which means there's more than one.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of different Claptraps throughout this series.
Yeah, they were all voiced by the one guy doing different modulations and stuff to his voice, but it's like, you're not that indispensable. It's not like going and getting rid of Ego out of Castlevania where, he is the visionary director, or the guy from Silent Hill, who's the game director on those ones?
I'm not 100% sure.
No, the guy that came up with the
Masahiro Ito.
Yeah, so like
for
it'd
the
be like
designs,
it'd be like getting rid of him. Like, I guess you can still go forward, but like you've lost the creative edge behind. This isn't that.
It'd be like replacing Mark Hamill from episode 5 to 6.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, supposedly something too, he's accused of sharing animal cruelty videos on Twitter. But again, accused. Like, it was a kitten getting attacked by a crab. Something. But that, to me, that's also one of those things which is extremely irritating to me, which is, alright, so this Randy Pitchford's a piece of shit. A lot of CEOs usually are. You have to have some degree of fucked upness to be, like, to be that cutthroat to make it to a CEO. You know what I mean? Kind of like being a politician.
Yeah.
You have to be kind of fucked up to be a politician. It's a lot of...
for
this one anyway, there's a lot of pussy grabbing and bad hair and being orange, I guess. Do you guys remember those Angry Orange videos?
Yes.
That's kind of what it reminds me.
The annoying orange.
That's what I mean. Just slap a Trump wig on. Well, I won't go too far into that. But anyway, but this gets into kind of what starts to irritate me is like, this whole boycott idea.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, just to entertain the thought that boycott amounts to something. Like, all right, suddenly it spreads, and nobody buys Borderlands 3, and Gearbox goes under for some reason. Well, now you're putting... What about the other thousands of people who worked on this game that have nothing to do with Pitchford? You know, I'm pretty sure the development crew don't share this guy's views and probably aren't dicks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're putting thousands and thousands of people out of a job just because you don't like this one guy. Like, it seems extremely short-sighted.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts to get into a weird idea of, like, separating art from the artist. You know what I mean? Because one you and I always go back on is what is it, Orson Scott Card or whatever?
Yeah, author
with
for
Ender's Game. Yeah.
The guy is a massive homophobe.
Oh,
and
he's
probably
a racist. Oh, no,
too.
not probably. He is. He is.
Yeah. I knew he was a homophobe, but I didn't remember anything about his
No,
yeah.
there's been a lot.
But like separating, like his Ender's Game is such a great story that I can go, yeah, I don't like Card, but I do love this.
It's part of the reading curriculum of most high schools, actually.
Yeah.
Well, another good one is look at H.P. Lovecraft. That dude was completely xenophobic and racist, and
I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, his stories, you go through and read them, and if you actually look at him in the context of that, he's a dick, but his stories were great.
He's one of the most prolific and iconic of, like, horror writers of this...
I mean, I guarantee you can go through you could probably find any author or artist and find something or some opinion they've held that you wouldn't agree with, and you'd be like, yeah, that makes you a dick.
Yeah. I mean, look at even just companies in general. Like, I know Hobby Lobby. Do you remember when they were making the religious rights thing, and they wanted to make you have to offer healthcare to full-time workers. Like, it was a law.
Yeah, which includes providing birth control.
Exactly.
If your employees wanted to get birth control.
And Hobby Lobby refused to supply health insurance to their full-time workers because it could potentially lead to birth control, and because they're a Christian company, they don't agree with the use of birth control. To me, that's selfish as fuck. I haven't shopped at Hobby Lobby since because I think that's entirely irresponsible as not only to your workers, but to just business in general,
society as a whole.
I think it's just selfishness that you want to do
Absolutely.
That because just because you are a Christian-based company, I mean, that's fine. You do what you got to do, but are you really willing to put tens of thousands of people out of a job that they rely on day in and day out because you are resting on your laurels that we want to provide health care to them, we don't want them to be buying birth control, and if this Health Care Act makes us so that we have to provide even that, we would rather just shut our doors than to take care of our own people. How religious is that? I don't see that is selfish as can be. They
came out and even said we will pay a fine for, like, because I remember it was a fine for every day that they didn't do it, and they said we're prepared to pay it until we're broke. First of all, it goes way beyond even just being selfish. Like, even I'm not particularly religious, but it goes even into your religion as you're judging other people's decisions, which I'm assuming you're not allowed to do. As a religious person, you're not allowed to judge others. Only God can judge people. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So it's like, it almost takes away that idea of free will. Because it's not your job to police how other people act, you know? Which is like, I also don't eat at Chick-fil-A. I've never eaten there. I don't plan on eating there because I know aren't the owners like homophobic or something like that?
Yeah, they're extreme conservative.
They're extreme homophobic.
But they're also
they flat out are.
It's basically the food chain version of Hobby Lobby.
Yeah. So like, I've never eaten it. I hear it's delicious, but I'm like, I don't want to eat there because of that. But see, the big difference is between me and this Borderlands thing is, I'm not telling you guys you can't go do it. If you guys want to eat Chick-fil-A, go fucking eat Chick-fil-A. I'll have Subway or something. You know, which, well, Jared's a pedophile, but can't have Papa John's either because he's racist.
Well, and like I said, that's like I was saying, you could find, if you dig, you can find something on anyone that you disagree with, and that automatically makes them the villain, the other.
Yeah.
And it's a really bad tribe mentality that needs to die.
Well, that even goes way back. It harkens back to our very first episode of this Powercast we did, where we talked about the guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy.
James Gunn.
James
Yeah,
Gunn.
and the whole joke he made about rape, like fucking 15 years ago or whatever.
It was like literally 10 or 15 years ago. He made a comment about rape and pedophilia, because he was doing it to first off to be funny, but also as like a
shock.
He was being
a Howard Stern shock.
Yeah, he was like
culture
the shock. For the shock factor. Because he was trying to be like progressive and it came off like that, but it's like that was like 10 years ago, and because of the popularity of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, all of a sudden these tweets surfaced, somebody found them, and then all of a sudden he was kicked off of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which Disney has since rehired him back for it because there was such a public outcrying for him to come
It wasn't
back.
just that. The entire cast refused to do another Guardians movie without him.
The cast loved him.
And was it
Mm-hmm.
Taika Waititi was slated to come in and potentially be the next director, but he refused to touch James Gunn's property. He was like, I won't do it. So that's stepping on someone else's toes.
Not even just that. That's a tough act to follow, too.
Taika can do it. Look at the Thor 3.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, it's...
But still, it would still be a tough act to follow. Because I like the Guardians movies more than Thor Ragnarok. Even though Ragnarok was good.
It was such a great buddy cop movie.
It was.
But even so, it's kind of... That whole idea really just... It irritates the piss out of me that people are so wrapped up in their own disagreements, and things that they don't agree with, that they're willing to just take down everybody in the path.
Well, and I just kind of thought about this, and this might be a digression, but I would like to hear your takes on it, because I know that a lot of issues people will bring up, like, the unfair labor is going on with like companies where they what is that called, where they where when it's close to like the game's release launch or whatever it is, like they're pushing their employees to stay
crunch times?
crunch. And so people are now starting to complain about like, this is unfair to the employees who are working 80-90 hours a week, and they're having to crunch them because it's mandatory overtime, and I'm like, I don't. Why is it a big deal? Because I know I've seen videos where, like, if you remember, like Mortal Kombat 1, they talked about, like, they would literally work on this game for 16 to 18 hours a day.
I remember back then, Tobias and Boone said they slept in the office.
Yeah, and I was just about to say that. They would work, like, 16, 18 hours a day. They would sleep in the office. They'd wake up and they do it over again. And they did this for, like, 4 to 6 months. And they talk about it in, like... They're kind of proud that their labors went into the game like this, and nobody had an issue with it. And in fact, they were just like, look at the dedication that those guys had. It was a team of 4 guys who were working 18 hours a day. They were sleeping in the office, like, and their dedication paid off. And this was a game that just completely revolutionized arcade games and all this stuff.
Want a great example of that? Look at how South Park is made.
Mm-hmm.
It's not made like most shows. They're made months in advance, and then they just kind of feed them out. South Park, they'd make it like the week it's going to be coming out.
Yeah, so basically
an episode airs, and they start the next episode right then.
So that it would be fresh. Like,
and
if
that's
something
all
happened,
they do is crunch time the entire time they're producing an episode.
Yeah.
And yet no one's belittling them.
No, but now it's like it's a big thing where it's like, crunch time should not. Why are people exposed to the crunch? And it's like,
if it's a passion project, is it really that?
Well.
Like, and I don't know. Like, if you're not passionate about it, then what are you doing it to begin with?
Well, and not even just that. It's like they're trying to step up for these, like, video game producers who go into crunch time. It's like, well, what about people like me who work in, like, an office setting? Like, a non-related office setting. And sometimes, I have long weeks. I work 70, 80 hours a week sometimes. And other people who are putting in, like, 80, 90 hours a week if they're working in like law or something like that. Why aren't you going off on them for crunch time? Or is that just because you're not going to get famous because you're not attacking a video game company that you dislike?
I really don't know.
I mean, where did this change where did the change come from? Like, why is all of a sudden it's such a bad thing?
Well, and part of it is the internet. It allows everyone to have an opinion and express that opinion out in public. But
even if you don't deserve one.
And that my big thing is, okay, yeah, everyone has the right to an opinion. Not everyone has the right to share their opinion.
That's actually funny. Okay, I love the show, The Orville. It's a really, really good show by Seth MacFarlane.
Yep.
Better Star Trek than what Star Trek puts out.
But there's an episode of it called Majority Rules. It was the premise of the episode is they visit this planet where any action that is taken has to go to a majority. So literally every living person has a voice. And it ends up causing all these problems in there because you're getting people's opinions on things that they know nothing about. Mm-hmm. And so all this stuff transpires, and at the end, one of the characters says, opinions, or no, what does he say?
Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
And they all stink.
The right to your opinion. No, that's not it. All right, did you find your quote? No.
Of course you didn't.
I couldn't find it. And I couldn't find a whole episode for it. It was something like, because the whole idea of the episode's an upvote, downvote system.
Yeah, everyone has a little device that allows them to vote yes or no.
So if you go to a restaurant and you had a bad time, you downvote them. Enough downvotes and that place gets shut down. Same with public executions and stuff like that. And I want to say that the quote he said was, the right to vote is something that is earned, it is not given. So I think it was something like that.
Found it.
What was it?
So, everyone deserves a voice. That's what we're taught. A voice should be earned, not given away.
There you go. Perfect.
Paul, it's sad that you could find it in like 3 seconds when this guy's seen it and he has a better phone and he can't do it.
I was watching a video that was the teaser for it, not actually the episode.
A voice should be earned, not given away. That's what you were... Yeah.
How far of a separation do you think there should be between like content creator and then consumer?
To be quite honest, I honestly don't. There should.
See, no, because this is where I'm torn.
I'm trying to think of how to word this, because the perfect example. So I was back in 2004, 2005 when God of War came out. I did like that game. Loved it a lot. Played the first 3. Played the PSP spin-offs as well, too. But the first one was created by David Jaffe. A lot of people do not like David Jaffe. He is a very he is a very outspoken creator. He has a very big ego. He has a very high sense of himself that could really turn people off. But you know what, though? I don't even care about David Jaffe or what he's done or the kind of person he is or his personality. I liked God of War. Like, I don't think that there was David Jaffe, like, DNA in that game, but it's like, yeah, you can hate him, but you can still like the game.
I think the biggest problem runs into is when fan input becomes too much of a thing. It's one thing for fans to say, hey, we don't like this about the game, or we do, you know what I mean? Like, could you do it this way? It's a different thing when fans are demanding something from a developer. Mm. Like, do you remember the whole Mass Effect nonsense where they didn't like the way Mass Effect, what was it, 3 ended? So they changed it? Like, come on. Like, that to me is, and I'm going to say your favorite word, that's fan toxicity. As far as that, and the separation between developer and fans, it's like, they almost fly too close to the sun. You know what I mean? It's like the closer they get, the more toxic it becomes.
Oh God, you're badly poisoned.
Badly poisoned!
Mass Effect was also one of those things where I think the developers bit off far more than technology at the time allowed.
They did. I think it would have... If you had fast-forwarded the Mass Effect trilogy to, like... Because that was, what, PS3? Started, right?
Yeah.
360.
Yeah. If they had fast forwarded into this current generation,
because it was only on Xbox originally.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. It was
because Microsoft financed the first game because no one else wanted to touch it.
Mm-hmm. But if they had fast forwarded it to today's console and capabilities, I think they could have done what they were trying to do. Mm-hmm. But again, it's still like it is what it is. You know, if you didn't like it, well, that's your fault, really. You know, that's what they wanted to do. A lot of people are always butthurt about things when they end. You know, oh, I wish it would have ended this way. Well, guess what? It didn't. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where I feel like the fan input it almost gets to be too much. Just like that whole outcry with the Pokemon thing where not every Pokemon's going to be in there. It's like, just because you have a voice doesn't mean that you should say it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not your game. It's for you, but it's not yours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it almost gets to a point where just accept it for what it is and enjoy it.
Well, and people need to go back to those roots of that, because now the big thing is like, well, this game was made for the consumers, so the consumers are right. Like if this needs to,
the whole customer's always right.
Yeah, the customer's always right. Like, okay, you know what? If it wasn't for us customers buying this game, you wouldn't even have a job. So you know what? You need to listen to us, and you need to do what we're doing. It's like, no. We fell in love because you gave us a product that we had no idea was coming out, that we had no idea of what to expect, and we loved it from the get-go so much that now if you continue to make products from that same line, we're going to keep buying it because you drew us in. Like, where is this whole thing about, like, you owe us for this when it's... No, it's not the case.
Funny thing, too, is, like, especially with games, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. Because if they turn out the exact same product, you're going to eventually, at some point, have those fans you've burned out because, well, I'm literally just paying for the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I just paying for the same thing?
Yeah.
But then if you change too much, you're going to have the other fans being like, well, this isn't what we wanted. Why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how Mass Effect went from kind of more of like a Knights of the Old Republic feel from the first one to a shooter RPG in the second one to pretty much damn near just an action shooter in 3 without any RPG elements to it.
Yeah.
So it's like they completely genre changed throughout the series.
Yeah.
Which it makes me think, like, just imagine if like Legend of Zelda and Link came out now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there would have even been more Zeldas past Link because of how drastically different it was to the first?
Nope.
Probably not.
Same thing happened with every single number 2 of the iconic series on the NES the NES era.
Absolutely.
Super Mario Brothers 2 was so vastly different from Super Mario Brothers 1. Castlevania 2 was so vastly different. Link's Adventure was so vastly different from Legend of Zelda, and all these different games that they changed the formula because there was nothing established at that point. But nowadays, if those games came out now, I can guarantee you that their lines would die right then and there.
Yeah, and it's because fans are... Well, first of all, you can't satisfy anybody.
Like, you can't satisfy everybody, which is the problem.
Yeah, which I understand. You know, you want... Kind of like Destiny does, where they want to cater to the ones that have been playing, but they also want to draw in more.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when they release... Like, with Destiny 2, I bought Destiny 2. I didn't buy a single expansion. But people who, like, bought it from the get-go got, like, the Season Pass and stuff. Or even if you didn't get the Season Pass... Like, you bought their DLCs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2 or 3 expansions in, they release a complete edition for cheaper than what I spent for the base game. So it, like, and all I'll get is, like, a special emote. Who gives a fuck? So I'm fucking jerking off in the corner as an emote. Really? Like, that's what my $120 gets me that I spent on the 2 expansions in the base game, and this schmuck bought it for $40 and got all 3?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that to me feels like a slap in the face.
Oh, yeah.
I get what they want to do. They want to draw in people, but they also want to try to appease the people that have been playing by giving them exclusive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But more often than not, it's not worth that. You know what I mean?
No, I get you.
So it's because that happened to me with Destiny 1 as well, which is kind of why I stopped playing. Like, Destiny 2 got stale after a while. It was like Destiny 1, but with different shit. Although now, with because they have a new one coming out, a new expansion, they broke away from, is it Activision? Who originally owned Bungie?
Microsoft.
No, Microsoft owned Bungie originally, and they broke away from Microsoft.
Right, but I thought Activision bought them.
Activision just was the publisher, I think.
But they were pressuring Bungie to do certain things in the game.
Yeah, I think
if I'm not mistaken. But I know eventually Bungie broke away even from Activision now, and they're making massive changes to the game. I remember seeing a thing saying that they wanted to... They're going to put the game back to what they wanted it to be without having to be pressured from Activision. So who knows? Maybe I'll pick it up again, but I doubt it. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Games like that I can't get back into, unfortunately.
No. I've actually always wanted to get into, like, the MMOs for, like, Final Fantasy. Like, Final Fantasy 14, I know Shadowbringers just came out not that long ago, their expansion. Yeah. I've always been curious to try and play one of those.
Yeah, I don't know. Certain stuff like that, though, you have to be in at the start. Otherwise, it's hard getting caught up and doing stuff. WoW is a good example.
Yeah, I was about to say, it'd be like us trying to get into WoW.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do that, yeah.
I don't know.
But I feel like, especially with this current climate we're in, sometimes I think people just need to take a step back, let people do their jobs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And learn to disassociate between certain groups within a company. Mm. You know, the developers of Borderlands 3 are not all monsters like this Randy Pitchford. No. You know?
Even if he is, it's all allegedly at this point anyway.
Yeah, it's all accusations. It's not even proven stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Even if it is proved to be true, does it take away from the game that is being made when he has basically next to no involvement whatsoever? Right. He's literally just the front man who pays for everything because he's the CEO of the company, but it doesn't change. Like, he's not giving input into the game. It's like he's leaving that with the developers who know what to do, the script writers who are writing the script and the story and all that other stuff. Yeah. He has nothing to do with it. So why are you boycotting a game because you dislike one person who has absolutely next to nothing to do with that game?
Yeah. Do you really feel like it's worth dismantling a fucking franchise that... Well, I think they're way beyond a cult following at this point. They're pretty massive.
That has brought hundreds of thousands, if not millions of hours of fun to millions of people.
Yeah, I guarantee you millions of hours at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know. It was something that kind of got under my skin a little bit when I read the article and all the stuff that developed from it that I kind of... I felt like it was something that was worth talking about.
Yeah, no, because like I said, it was the first time because the videos that I've seen surfacing, usually I'm like, okay, I see things from one side of the coin and they're seeing it from the other side of the coin, and this was one of the very first times I can think of where I'm just like, I think you're wrong. Like, you're completely wrong in this whole boycott Borderlands. Like, dude, what are you trying to accomplish with this? There's nothing. Like, this guy who got his video struck down but has now since been brought back, like, I think he's in the wrong. He is completely in the wrong for what he's done. Yeah. And yeah, maybe they went after him a little bit too strongly, but at the same time, like, if you know that somebody is publishing things that you don't want them to get out, and you can't find the mole or the leak that is coming from your company, or are you just going to say, like, we can't find the leak in our ship, we're just going to sit here then? What are we going to do?
Well, and that's that's a big thing too, is if a company does not pursue protecting their intellectual property, it sets a precedent.
Then where does it stop?
Well, it's not just that. It's actually, it eventually hits a point where the law is no longer on their side. If you do not actually protect your property, the law is no longer on your side. It stops being with you. It's like when God, what's it called? There's a law for it where basically a term becomes synonymous with like a certain type of thing. That name is no longer trademarkable, and it becomes public. The name becomes public domain.
Oh yeah. If you don't keep up on it, I know.
And it's one of those things where it's a fine line between, protecting your stuff and being an asshole. But sometimes, in order to protect your stuff, you have to be an asshole.
Kind of like how you have all these game franchises that are making resurgences because people are buying the rights to them. Because like with Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage 4 is coming out because Sega let their rights of Streets of Rage lapse. Yeah. So some other team bought it up, and they're making Streets of Rage 4. And I think Toe Jam and Earl was the same situation.
I think so, yeah.
So it's
Earthworm Jim is the same way, too. I think the original creator of Earthworm Jim is now making a new Earthworm Jim game.
Yeah. So it's... I can see why they did what they did, and even then it wasn't even Gearbox. It was 2K, which is their parent company is I think Take-Two, or something like that. But come on, people. Let's be better than this.
Yeah, exactly.
Which actually is funny, because we were talking about jokes at the beginning. So I've been binge watching comedians in cars getting coffee.
I love that series. I watched it back when it was on Crackle.
Yeah, it was Jerry Seinfeld.
I know. I'm not a big fan.
Well, and the thing is, I don't like Seinfeld stand-up, and I don't like the TV show Seinfeld, but I like this.
Well, I don't like Seinfeld as a person.
Oh.
I love Seinfeld as a person.
No,
the more I watched it,
an absolute dick in person.
Yeah, that's why I like him.
Of course.
I've identified more with him watching this show than I ever thought I would have, because he hates everything
He
and
does.
everyone. I hate everything and everyone.
You know what the funny thing is? You guys always used to bitch that I hate everything.
Oh my god, like the more I was watching, it's like, I really identify with this guy. Like, I kind of like idolize this motherfucker. But it's always stuff that rightfully kind of gets under people's skin, and he says it, whereas like somebody like me doesn't. But there was a joke that they had said that was on one of the episodes where I can't remember who his guest was, but he told a joke about a Jewish guy dies and he goes to heaven and he tells God a joke about the Holocaust or something. And God says, that joke's not very funny. And the guy was like, I guess you have had to been there. Which, it's one of the most multi-layered jokes, joke, non-joke you can think of, because it insinuates, one, God was not there when the Holocaust happened. If you believe in that.
Oh, yeah.
And,
okay.
And obviously the whole idea of, you had to have been there, and it, to make it funny. So it's like one of those. And I was like, dude, that's really fucking clever. Like,
wait, is that the Sebastian
Monteschalco?
Yeah, was it him?
Maybe.
Because I remember that joke. I don't remember who was on there.
But that one, for some reason, like, really resonated with me. I was like, that's really good. Like, I love jokes like that. And it's just, it got me, tickled my bone, so to speak.
Honestly, no, it's a really good show, because it's interesting seeing people that you always expect to be, okay, this is this person, so this is the character they are. This is what you always see. It's nice to actually see some of them like relax and be just themselves.
Eddie Murphy, he did an episode with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, that one was
and
good.
It's like, he's totally not. I was expecting Nutty Professor. Like, just the way he's literally nothing like that.
No,
so it was almost weird to see Eddie Murphy in like a very subdued sort of. Granted, he's older, but still, even Jim Carrey.
The Jim Carrey one's the only one where I can think of where he at times acts like what you expect Jim Carrey to act like, because he's got a gate. Instead of opening the gate, he crawls over the damn thing.
Or like Dana Carvey was one. I don't care for Dana Carvey, but in the episode I was like, he's a pretty funny guy. Like, there are people on there that are actually like super funny that I never thought they would be, including Seinfeld. I never watched Seinfeld. I don't like it, but I almost kind of want to watch it because
I won't watch the show. Or his stand-up. It's just...
Well, it's kind of like Tina Fey was one, too. Never cared for Tina Fey until I watched 30 Rock, and I'm like, she's actually really funny. Like, this is really good. So it's like, I feel like certain lights, I don't know. It's very strange. But I just thought you guys get a kick out of that one.
Yeah, no.
Maybe not so much.
Definitely got a kick out of it.
But yeah, that's all I got. Go fuck yourself.
What?
Talking to you two. not the listeners. I'm talking to you two.
Oh, I see.
I had a hard time with this episode.
You did, but it's only because every time that you had a thought in your mind, it somehow ran away from you.
How about saying I cut out all those parts, so it's...
And you tried to find a quote from the Orville that you could not find after looking for like 10 minutes.
Oh, that'll keep it.
And then I literally found it in 30 seconds.
I don't know how you did it. I was trying to watch videos to find it. And
yeah, you don't do that.
I was like searching it. That was a fucking needle in a haystack.
You
right
Google.
there.
Well, you also don't watch it, like the teaser trailers to find stuff like that.
I didn't know it was a teaser because nowhere in the description did it say this is a teaser. I should have noticed when it was only 3 minutes long. Like, oh fuck. But anyway, that'll do it for this episode.
Yeah, that'll do it for this episode. So let us know what you think. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask, even if you think that they're going to be provocative or that they may not be what we're used to answering, ask us. Let us know. Write us in a comment and we'll answer it on the next episode.
Yeah, either on YouTube, you can comment on one of our videos, or
Facebook,
on the Powercast
Twitter.
there. Facebook, Twitter. just send us a shout out of anything you'd like us to discuss. Like I said, we usually tend to stay away from the big three. You know, race, religion, and politics.
Yes.
Well, if you guys want us to talk about it, we'll talk about it. Why not? But...
And we shall watch the world burn.
Oh, God. We're not monetized, so we're not worried about it.
No, we're not. Some people just want to watch the world burn.
But, yeah, throw us there. You can watch our YouTube videos on YouTube, obviously. Just said it.
Watch our YouTube videos on...
Go to Power Trip.
Shit, where can they find it?
Go to PowerTripGaming.tv. Takes you directly to the channel. Watch our NES Quest, where we're knocking down every NES game. We've been kind of lax on it lately. But that's because I attribute it to what I call the 8-bit burn, where we're burned the fuck out on 8-bit games.
8-bit burnout.
Yeah, so we've been playing a lot of side quest stuff
like
lately.
your old TV if you left it on too long. The image is still there. You can't get rid of
It
it.
sure is. Burnt in.
I mean, we're 174 games deep and still cooking strong.
No, I wouldn't say strong. We're cooking with
Cooking on medium.
we're cooking with Crisco.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you can only take so much NES. You know what I mean?
That is true.
Some of these games are so bad.
Yeah.
Especially without knocking out all the ones you already know.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Going to these unknown games is where the fatigue starts setting in.
Yeah. Like Rainbow Islands. That was a heavy blow.
Well, and that wasn't really our fault. That was the system froze on that one.
We were pretty shitty on that one.
We were the first time around, yeah, because we finished it a lot quicker the
Yes,
second
we
time around.
did. But so there you guys go. iTunes or Stitcher. You can find the Power Trip Gaming Powercast if you're watching, or if you're listening to this on YouTube. You can find us on one of those platforms as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll do it.
I don't know if I have anything else to add because you covered everything multiple times.
I did.
Paul, you can always add.
I can. You're listening
With power.
with power.
Well, this was the Power Trip Gaming Powercast.
Obviously it was, but I was kind of lost after because I just don't know where our YouTube videos are. What's that website?
PowerTripGaming.tv takes you right to the channel. You can type it anywhere in a browser.
But it takes you to the where's the channel located?
YouTube.
No way!
I know.
How is it on YouTube?
I don't know.
YouTube videos are on YouTube? No! I'm gonna go there right now.
Yeah.
On my smartphone.
I don't even think I need to put the end song in there.
Nope, you got it right there.
No. That is a very, very bad insult to Aaron and his work.
We need to end this like right now.